The Democratic Republic of Congo is once again teetering on the brink. The M23 rebel group, a violent force fueled by external interests, has torn through the eastern provinces, leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. Their advance has been relentless, culminating in the capture of Goma, a crucial city and a symbol of Congolese authority. This is not just a political crisis, it's a profound human tragedy. The M23's rampage has unleashed a wave of suffering upon innocent civilians. Families have been ripped apart, forced to flee their homes in search of safety. The lucky ones find refuge in overcrowded camps, grappling with hunger, disease, and the constant fear of further violence. The less fortunate are left to fend for themselves, caught in a cycle of displacement and despair. The international community cannot stand idly by as this humanitarian catastrophe unfolds. The people of the DRC, who have endured decades of conflict and instability, deserve better. The world must act decisively to alleviate their suffering and hold those responsible for this crisis accountable. The situation in the DRC is a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict. It's a call to action for the international community to prioritize peace, security, and the protection of civilians. The time for empty rhetoric is over. The time for meaningful action is now. While the M23 may be the visible face of the conflict, the hand pulling the strings belongs to Rwandan President Paul Kagame. The evidence of his support for the M23 is overwhelming, a pattern of interference that stretches back decades. Kagame's motives are complex, a mix of regional power plays and economic self-interest. Under the guise of security concerns, Kagame has used the DRC as a pawn in his own geopolitical chess game. He claims to be fighting against Rwandan Hutu rebels operating within Congolese borders, a justification that rings hollow given the M23's well-documented atrocities against Congolese civilians. Kagame's regime has consistently denied any involvement with the M23, dismissing accusations as Western propaganda. However, a growing body of evidence, including intelligence reports and eyewitness accounts, paints a different picture. The M23 is armed, trained, and financed by Rwanda, their operations a direct extension of Kagame's will. Kagame's interference in the DRC is not about security, it's about control. He seeks to maintain a sphere of influence over the resource-rich eastern provinces, exploiting their mineral wealth to fuel his own ambitions. The Congolese people are mere pawns in his game, their lives and livelihoods sacrificed at the altar of his ambition. The conflict in the DRC has taken a dangerous turn with the tragic deaths of South African peacekeepers serving under the banner of the Southern African Development Community. These brave soldiers, deployed to protect civilians and stabilize the region, paid the ultimate price for Kagame's reckless adventurism. The attacks on SADC peacekeepers, particularly those from South Africa, have ignited a diplomatic firestorm. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, once a cautious voice in regional affairs, has adopted a much tougher stance against Rwanda. He has accused Kagame of orchestrating the attacks, warning of dire consequences if Rwandan aggression continues. Kagame, never one to back down from a confrontation, has responded with defiance. He has denied any Rwandan involvement in the deaths of the South African peacekeepers, instead blaming the Congolese army for the incident. His words ring hollow, a desperate attempt to deflect blame and maintain his grip on the narrative. The escalating tensions between South Africa and Rwanda are a worrying development, threatening to further destabilize the region. The African Union and the international community must act swiftly to mediate this dispute and prevent a dangerous escalation of violence. The crisis in the DRC demands a multifaceted response, one that addresses both the immediate humanitarian needs and the underlying political tensions fueling the conflict. The international community must move beyond condemnation and take concrete steps to hold Kagame accountable for his actions and support the Congolese people's right to peace and security. First and foremost, the international community must exert sustained pressure on Rwanda to cease its support for the M23 and withdraw its troops from Congolese territory. This pressure should take the form of targeted sanctions against key figures in the Rwandan government and military, as well as diplomatic isolation on the international stage. Second, the DRC's neighbors and regional organizations like the SADC and the African Union must present a united front in demanding an end to Rwanda's interference. This includes strengthening the mandate and capabilities of the existing peacekeeping force in the DRC, providing them with the resources and authority they need to effectively protect civilians and deter further violence. Finally, the international community must prioritize a political solution that addresses the root causes of the conflict, including the presence of armed groups and the illegal exploitation of the DRC's natural resources. This will require a renewed commitment to dialogue and diplomacy involving all stakeholders in a genuine effort to find a lasting peace.